We all see the corruption. We feel the injustice. But here's the real question. Why do the very institutions meant to protect Nepal fail us again and again? Why do judges, anti-corruption bodies, and constitutional offices stay silent when the nation is bleeding? In today's video, we're going to uncover the root cause and, explore a powerful but forgotten solution, a neutral guardian, not a ruler, but a national referee who stands above politics to keep the system clean and accountable. The foundation of contemporary governance relies on the separation of powers. The executive, or Karyapalika, operates the government through the Prime Minister, ministers, and bureaucracy. The Legislature, or Bayabasthapalika, creates laws through Parliament and the National Assembly. The Judiciary, or Nyayapalika, delivers justice and monitors legal compliance through the Supreme Court and lower courts. The three branches exist to monitor each other to prevent any single entity from gaining excessive power or becoming corrupt. In Nepal, the separation of powers is just on paper. In practice, one branch, the executive, has taken over everything. The Prime Minister and the ruling party control appointments of the Chief Justice, CIAA or Anti-Corruption Chief, Election Commission, ambassadors, and bureaucrats. These officials are often party loyalists, not independent professionals. Once appointed, they protect the very people who appointed them. So no matter who comes to power, party A, B, C, or D, the system stays rigged and self-serving. Some say, but Nepal has a president. Isn't that the guardian of the constitution? Technically, yes. The president is the ceremonial head of state, like the king of Thailand or the president of Germany. But there are two major problems. The president is elected by the parties, so he or she becomes party property, not a neutral guardian. And the president cannot reject or delay appointments. Legally, they must sign whatever the Prime Minister recommends. As a result, the president becomes a rubber stamp, not a protector of the constitution. Before 2006, Nepal had a constitutional monarchy. The king didn't rule directly, but he had one important job to oversee and approve major national appointments. The king was not elected by a party. He didn't need votes, money, or alliances. His position was above politics, more stable and long-term. This gave the king the moral authority to say no to corrupt or biased decisions. Was it perfect? No. But even during those times, institutions like the CIAA and the Supreme Court had more respect, fear, and independence than today. So, what's the solution? Well, a national guardian system. Nepal needs to take politics out of national institutions. That means appointments must not be controlled by political parties. A neutral body should select candidates based on merit. And a national guardian, kind of like a ceremonial monarch, can formally appoint or reject names. This guardian would not belong to any party, not run for election, not interfere in daily politics, but would protect the constitution from political capture. This is actually similar to what happens in Thailand, where the king quietly oversees appointments, or in Bhutan, where the king chooses from neutral recommendations. The appointment system in Nepal faces corruption as its main issue, rather than just corrupt leaders. When parties maintain complete control, every watchdog becomes a passive participant. The root issue really needs resolution before any election, new party, or protest can lead to lasting change. Establishing a national referee is necessary to safeguard the constitution, restore public trust, and prevent political manipulation of state institutions. So, what actually happened after Nepal became a full republic in 2008? Well, many state-owned industries were privatized, supposedly in the name of liberalization. But honestly, this wasn't real privatization. It was often just political loot. Factories, banks, and land were sold off at really low prices to people connected to political parties. And these new private owners didn't really care about production. they were mostly interested in selling the land, scrapping the old machinery, or just exploiting government subsidies. As a result, thousands of workers lost their jobs, local production collapsed, Nepal became increasingly import-dependent, and a lot of our youth started migrating abroad. Why did all this happen? It's because there was no neutral guardian to question these decisions or to protect our national industries from being captured by political interests. Now, you might wonder, how could a ceremonial monarch have helped in this situation? Well, a ceremonial monarch doesn't actually run the economy, but they can safeguard the country's long-term economic vision in several indirect yet powerful ways. Let's talk about moral pressure against looting. In a system with a respected monarch, public shame still exists. When industries are sold corruptly or national assets are stolen, the monarch can actually raise concern or even delay approval. Sometimes, just a single statement from the king, something like, "This hurts the nation," can create massive public awareness and pressure. So, a ceremonial monarch acts as a kind of moral barrier, preventing political theft in the name of policy. B. Guard of strategic industries. You know, a neutral monarch can actually help protect certain industries as strategic, like energy, cement, iron, agriculture, and telecom. These industries might be allowed to modernize, but importantly, they wouldn't fall into the hands of party agents. C. Stability and investor confidence. Investors, well, they really want political stability and a long-term policy vision. A ceremonial monarch, in this case, gives the country a non-political anchor, someone who stays put while parties, keep fighting. Countries like Thailand, Malaysia, and Morocco have actually benefited from this kind of symbolic stability. Foreign and domestic investors just feel a lot safer when there's a respected long-term figurehead who protects the constitution and national unity. Alright, so let's talk about how monarchs often promote local products, culture, and tourism. They can support things like Made in Nepal campaigns, protect traditional industries like handicrafts and herbs, and even open up new markets through diplomatic influence. For example, the British royal family has a huge impact on promoting UK products, charities, and global goodwill, even though they don't actually have real power. In a broken system, every new party just comes in and destroys the policy of the previous one. A monarch, on the other hand, can help preserve and guide a long-term national plan, like a 20-year industrial policy, strategic resource protection, or setting national infrastructure priorities. Just think of the monarch as a compass, not a captain, pointing the direction while the elected leaders actually do the work. Alright, let's wrap things up with a quick summary. When it comes to industrial privatization, political parties have basically looted national assets, while a ceremonial monarch could create moral and public pressure. For economic direction, it's usually short-term and party-based, but a monarch could promote a long-term national vision. Investor confidence suffers from instability and policy confusion, but with a monarch, you'd get stability and continuity of identity. Protection of strategic sectors often means handing things over to cronies, but a monarch could guard strategic industries from abuse. And finally, public trust in the economy is very low right now, but it could be higher under neutral oversight. So here's my final thought. Nepal doesn't need a monarch to run industries, but it does need someone to protect the nation's future from party-centered destruction. A ceremonial monarch, free from elections and greed, could act as a silent protector of national interest in governance, justice, and the economy. And just to be clear, this isn't about going back to a full monarchy. It's about creating a non-political system of accountability, a fourth pillar of democracy that helps keep the other three clean and functional. If we want a corruption-free Nepal, we have to break the political monopoly over justice, appointments, and law enforcement first. Honestly, a ceremonial neutral guardian could be the missing piece in Nepal's broken democratic puzzle. If you found this perspective valuable, please like this video to support independent thinking. Subscribe to stay updated on new ideas for Nepal's transformation. And, hey, comment below. Do you think Nepal needs a neutral guardian? Is ceremonial monarchy a solution or just nostalgia? Let's talk. This is Gyan Yoga 2, where ideas meet action.